Hello, my name is Ramona Behshad, and I am at St. Louis University. I am really excited today to be speaking with Divya Srivastava.
Thanks, Ramona, so much for having me. I'm Divya Srivastava. I'm a Mohs surgeon at UT Southwestern in Dallas, Texas, and I'm so excited to be here today to chat with you.
Thank you so much. So, one of the things that I think a lot of our members are starting to hear about, whether it's through newsletters or emails, focused on Medicare. The AMA recently had a meeting, and I know you've attended a lot of these meetings in the past and have experience in terms of how the Mohs College fits into, the AMA and the Greater House of Medicine. So, can you give us a brief rundown about how the AMA works? A little bit about these meetings, and then how the Mohs College participates within the AMA.
Sure. So the American Medical Association is sort of the umbrella organization for all physicians in our country. And it holds annual meetings twice a year. And these occur in November and June. And basically, it brings together physicians from all over the country. And you have representatives from every state and every region of the country, as well as from every specialty. So dermatology has representatives from the American Academy of Dermatology, the Mohs College, the American Society for Dermatologic Surgery, Society for Investigative Dermatology, and I'm sure there's others that I'm forgetting. We have dermatopathologists. So we have a whole slew of representatives from each of our sister societies, and we come together and represent us all, our profession and our subspecialty as the Dermatology Section Council. And then cardiology has representatives, gastroenterology has representatives, et cetera. So you have people bringing in issues kind of from their state and regional levels, and then you have people bringing in their concerns and issues on a subspecialty level. And so basically at every meeting, the House of Delegates, the delegates will write resolutions, which are policies that they want the AMA to advocate for. And things that have come up are things from, Medicare reform to prior authorization to covering telehealth, as well as public health issues like banning, tanning use and supporting sun structures in schools. So these are all sorts of policies that have come out of the American Medical Association.
So that's really interesting because I think sometimes, as an individual, you feel somewhat powerless when you have all of these changes occurring, on the government and payer level. And it sounds like from what you're saying, through this sort of grassroots efforts, you can actually write a resolution or, through the Mohs College or some of the other dermatology organizations, have your ideas or thoughts presented and people can discuss them and have them move forward. Which I think is really uplifting, just to know that there are things we can do to make a change. So how did you get involved with advocacy and the AMA?
So I actually became involved with the American Medical Association as a first-year medical student. And I went to NYU for med school, and they're super active in the AMA. And they put out a flyer saying, come join and, come to San Francisco and advocate for, at that time, the big issue was student debt relief, and, still an ongoing issue. And, banning smoking in New York City in public, which, we fought for and got done through our local county and state level. And so I began my involvement at that point and have been going to meetings, twice a year since then. And then as a resident, I really became involved through dermatology and was the resident representative for the ASDS. And eventually, the Mohs College gave me an opportunity. And for the past decade, I've been the alternate delegate for the Mohs College. And Michelle McDonald has been the delegate. She recently stepped down, and I've been fortunate that the Mohs College has given me the opportunity to serve as your delegate.
That's quite a story. So you started off really young, and it makes me think, as involved in academics, and we get to interface with both medical students and residents, that this is something we should be encouraging all of our younger future physicians and residents to be involved in. The AMA meets twice a year, and I know recently in June they had a meeting, and you've attended several meetings in the past. What are some big topics, or maybe what was the big topic at this past meeting or the past few meetings?
The most exciting thing I think that happened at the most recent June 2023 meeting was something that dermatology brought forward. We're a small specialty, but I think our members are super passionate and really advocate for what they care about. And a resolution that was presented was to make Medicare reform the top priority for the AMA. I think that especially dermatologists who are in solo or small group private practices are really feeling the squeeze of, Medicare reimbursements going down. Inflation is rising, supplies are going up. Our employees want, a better wage for themselves, which is understandable. And so these are all squeezing physician practices. So the Dermatology Section Council proffered a resolution to make Medicare reform and seeking sustainable Medicare reform and sustainable Medicare payments the top priority for the AMA, and was able to convince other specialties, other states to really advocate for this and make this the #1 priority. So I think moving forward, we're going to see a lot more momentum from the AMA to really push Medicare reform forward. And we've been super blessed. Jack Resnick just completed his year as president of the AMA and is just a person who's just so incredibly knowledgeable and effective with communicating with regulators and legislators to get policy made. And so we've been so fortunate to have him as a resource and, having him here in this era of medicine right now.
So when it comes to Medicare reform, you had mentioned to me some things about the inflation.
Well, one thing that, the AMA and all of our, sister societies in dermatology are really supporting is a House bill that's just been introduced this spring. It's House Bill 2474. It's proposing that the annual adjustment for Medicare payments is tied to the Medicare Economic Index, which is related to inflation. So if we see inflation is going up 5%, 6%, 7%, that the increase in payment to physicians should at least be that 5, 6, or 4, 5, or 6%, whatever that is, in addition to a positive cost. This year, kind of depressing. Physicians are the only ones who across the board saw a decrease in Medicare reimbursement. And so we really want to make sure we're advocating for ourselves. We're seeing a lot of skilled nursing facilities and long-term care facilities that are getting increase in Medicare reimbursement. But, we are also in the trenches taking care of patients on a day-to-day, and we want to make sure that we're reimbursed adequately.
Yeah, so that was really educational. Thank you for that, because I know we hear a lot about the AMA meetings, and I think for a lot of us who've never attended one, and now you actually make me want to go to one, it's just, it's interesting to hear, and it's nice to see all the specialties for once coming together, even though I'm sure they don't always agree on everything. So what are some things that our members can do to help?
That's such a great question. I hear all the time, why do I want to join the AMA? It's another dues that's, $420 every year. And what are they doing for me? And I think, one thing I've definitely learned being involved in organized medicine and going to Congress and lobbying in Washington, D.C. is that it's sort of a pay to play game. Every organization has their PAC. We have Skin PAC, which is super successful. And that money pays for lobbyists and pays for opportunities to interact with congressional members to really let them know these are what our issues are. But so I think donating to Skin PAC is really important. And there's a PAC called AMPAC, which is AMA's PAC, and that brings together funds from all different specialties. And while I think we all have differences between specialties, I think the only way medicine will succeed to protect our profession is if we really come together and band together. We all want to see Medicare reimbursements go up. So I think donating to AMPAC and Skin PAC is super critical so that we can have a great staff of lobbyists and we can have opportunities to influence members of Congress. And then I think that, if you go onto the AMA's website, there's so much good education on there about Medicare reform, telehealth, prior authorization, and it's pretty user-friendly now. There's a button that says, what's the AMA impact? And you can see what has the AMA done. A lot of times, some of these things are sort of under the radar and we're not hearing about it. So the thought is, oh, they're not doing anything for me, but they're constantly sort of monitoring what's going on at the state level to make sure we're protecting our scope of practice and we're having bills that support truth in advertising so we can distinguish between physicians and non-physicians. So there's a lot of things that are happening also at the state level that the AMA is really involved in that I think is really important for all of us to be, supporting. I think the AAD and ASDS are always sending out email blasts saying, hey, contact your member of Congress to talk about, Bill 2474, tell them you want to support that. I know we're all super, super busy and we just want to delete these emails, but I think click on the email, send a quick email to your congressperson. The more people they hear from, and honestly, the more personal stories they hear from about your patients who live in their congressional district, who are their voters, they hear that their patients aren't getting, timely access to dermatologic care, and they want to see what they can do to improve that. So I think, just contacting your member of Congress through those email blasts is pretty simple to do. I participate in some of the virtual fly-ins that ASDS and AAD hold, where you can, just 5 minutes in your office, speak to your member of Congress online or their health policy liaison and talk to them about your issues. And then the next time they have a health policy question, they might contact you and you'll have built that relationship. I think relationships are so important. And then another thing I think everyone can do locally, if you're not able to attend national meetings or fly to DC for a lobby day, you can join your local county medical society or your state medical society and advocate for your patients and profession there. And that's something that's, much smaller on scale in terms of time commitment, but very high impact.
Thank you again so much. Number one, from the members, for the time that you give to, advocate on our behalf. So we really appreciate that. And I thank you again for your time and educating us on how we can help, help the AMA and help the current situation.
Thanks so much for having me, Ramona.